The four of them is one of my favorite webtoons, so when I stumbled across Brat TV's 3 episodes of promo, I had mixed feelings. If this adaptation came out a few years ago, I might have been excited, but webtoon adaptations tend to be a mixed bag, though it was only around 20 minutes. You could hardly even call it an adaptation. Yet, here we are. You read the title. I'm gonna guide you through the original story, my general thoughts in the 3 episodes, and conclude with why I hate the way they adapted Johnny's arc in Season 1. Johnny spends Season 1 trying to live life knowing he can never be with the one he loves. But because that love had so much retail in his life, he wants to fill the void to continue functioning. He was so desperate that he announced his need for a girlfriend in front of his class. He ends up having 2 potential love interests in Monica and Oriana, both ultimately not being able to replace what Marielle was to him. Monica not having the romantic view of love Johnny does, and Oriana, while being a much better fit for him, wasn't the solution to the issue Johnny either ignores or is blind to. That he isn't gonna bounce back from 5 years of unrequited love after a kiss or being in a relationship. And that truth finally settles in when he sees Mika kiss Marielle. After crying out most of his bottled grief, he holds himself in his room for days. But there's a pleasant turn to all this. His mother, after interrogating Gabby, finds out why Johnny had been acting so strange recently, and listens to his guilty feelings, about wanting Marielle to be with him, knowing how much Mika loves her, as well as the possible complications he caused with Oriana. She advises, saying, well, there's not such an easy way to forget someone, but you could start by focusing on yourself. Hang out with Gabby, start a new hobby, improve your grades. Think of yourself. Fill your thoughts with something other than love. And don't worry, when you're ready, love will come again. And he does just that for the rest of the story. He doesn't even consider love till the last season of the webcomic. A big part of the reason why I love his arc is because I've rarely, if at all, seen it in the stories I've consumed. Like, enough to feel unconventional. Had this story released when I was in middle school and somehow found its way to me, I probably would have gotten some mileage out of it. And not just this arc, but the webcomic as a whole. It also scratches that self-development itch y'all have likely noticed in my videos. And Johnny isn't the only one. The other 3 of them have their own arc that confronts their fatal flaws or fears. Gabby confronts his sexuality and general fear of change. Marielle deals with her shyness and inability to make friends. And Martina, I forgot Martinez's one, but I remember her being really nosy and meddling in her sister's life. All arcs I'd love to get into, but now you have a good glimpse into what the webcomic is all about. So let's get into Brat TV's adaptation. I'm only really interested in discussing the show from a character story standpoint, but if you want my opinions on the acting and set design, I'll say this. 1. It all felt very Disney Channel to me, and to be honest, I should have seen it coming. But fortunately, the acting quality of the cast didn't matter much since it was all so short in the first place. 2. The cast all seemed visually similar to their webcomic counterparts, but it doesn't change the fact that they're all adults playing 15-year-olds. So watching the first scene where Johnny and Mika argue felt jarring. 3. The adaptation didn't acknowledge elements of Argentinian culture, like greeting each other with a kiss on the cheek, and other elements I'm probably missing. To be honest, this wasn't really a gripe for me, specifically because I don't think there are really any obvious nods to said culture in the early story, but people in the comments of the episodes noticed, so I thought it important to at least acknowledge that. All I really thought was, damn, that's a shame. And 4, I did not like the party scene. You know why I love that party scene in the webcomic? I loved it because I could feel how uncomfortable the environment made Johnny feel. The unfamiliar setting, the big crowd of strangers in a closed space, the booming music. But the show has everyone outside, spread thinly. It still looks uncomfortable, but it doesn't communicate the scene nearly as well in my opinion. Though, I could ignore most of these issues if Brat TV had just stuck with 1. The original character profiles, and 2. Not changed the basic message of Johnny's arc. To expand on the former, as far as the characters go, everyone but Mika has changed. Johnny remains the same, but lost most of his character flaws that he would eventually acknowledge, like being messy, not being good at school, not touching grass, having no hobbies. Gabby's basic antisocial behavior and love for food is replaced with a more outgoing personality that doesn't even foreshadow his character flaw. Marielle is portrayed as the seemingly popular type that has zero issues talking to people, contrasting with the webcomic where she was trying to build the courage to even talk to anyone. Johnny was the only person aside from Mika that she could confidently say she was friends with, and even that comes into question as the season concludes. And Martina, only had 2 to 3 lines, yet you don't see her friendly behavior and willingness to help everyone around her. Alright, low-key, I think I'm being overcritical at that point. I just didn't feel the warm charm from the webcomic. If this promo material was a prospective reader's first impression before hopping into the webcomic, I couldn't blame them if the changes felt jarring. With all that said, let's finally talk about Johnny's arc. The basic plot beats that Johnny follows are mostly the same. He finds out Mika is dating Marielle, he goes to the party, he sees Monica kiss another guy, and the accuracy stops there. The biggest changes reside in the climax and resolution. The Griot family and Marielle are having an awkward dinner, so the mom tries to break the ice by asking what Marielle's parents do. And Mika gushes about how cool her girlfriend is and lovingly holds her hand. But the dad was just not having it, because in this iteration, he's homophobic. Information that I, for the sake of my sanity, am gonna gloss over. Johnny denounces his father's bigotry and is sent to his room. So the adaptation ends with Johnny and Mika having this sibling moment, followed by this.
The thing about people, even annoying people, is that sometimes they surprise you. And I guess that's what makes life interesting. And maybe that surprise means there's still a little bit of hope.
In 20 minutes, they ignored the nuances behind Johnny's self-betterment by insinuating that Monica is the hope that he should walk forward to, ignoring the fact that Monica was fundamentally not a good fit as a romantic partner. Johnny even has that moment of confusion and frustration in the party scene, which was supposed to allude to the level of importance love carries for him versus Monica. That by itself should have been enough for him to not pursue the relationship, right? It's not like writing away his character flaws was going to change that. Not to mention, him deciding to focus on himself in the webcomic wasn't a means to find true love again. He even states that he doesn't know if he wants to love someone again. He purely does it for his own sake. So taking away his character flaws makes even less sense now. I don't know how romance plots are handled in the typical Bratz show, but saying they dropped the ball here is an understatement. Though, if you were a fan of the promo episodes and were originally a fan of the webcomic, please show yourself. Because as I was scrolling through the comments across these episodes, I rarely, if at all, found people that fit that particular description. But at the end of the day, I just hope that the potential fans that watched these episodes decide to read the webcomic, ignoring the changes that the adaptation made. I assume it's been over 2 months since the last upload. What made the video difficult for me to write is that the episodes were long enough for me to have an issue, but short enough to make me question why I was making this in the first place. Also, I may or may not stop uploading for months. I'm considering making videos in batches due to IRL happenings. Once again, if y'all have any webcomic suggestions that you think I'd like, indie or official, comment them down below. Next time,